Hello, everyone. The day has come. Canada has a new food guide. This is the new food guide right here, and I'm going to show you the old one. This is the old food guide. I have a copy of that right in front of me. Out with the old. This is the inside of that old food guide, where they told you how many servings of fruits and grains and milk alternatives and meat you should have. Well, that's out. That's all been replaced by this Canada's Food Guide. Eat well, live well. Eat a variety of healthy foods each day. The biggest thing about this food guide is they are emphasizing more plants, less milk and meat. In fact, dairy has not made it on here as anything. There's no dairy whatsoever. They are instead telling people to drink water, make water your drink of choice. And they emphasize eating protein foods, not meat. So you see in protein foods, they have samples of beans, some chickpeas, almonds, nuts. I guess that's probably a piece of salmon here, an egg, lentils, tofu, but the rest of this is all plant-based. Look at that. So this is major news for Canada, and as you can expect, there has been some reactions that have not been so pleasant. One of the things that I heard them say on the news about this tonight was that the government did not seek to listen to the lobby groups for dairy or beef as they had in the past. So the dairy and beef lobby groups are unhappy. They did not have their voices heard. They were not able to help spin help frame the food guide once again, and in fact they've been cut out. Beef is not cut out entirely, but again, it's not saying you have to eat meat, it's just saying eat protein, and really there's an emphasis on plant-based proteins. So that was really good to hear that they did not consider the lobby groups at all this time. And they went on to say that it's about science, and the latest science is saying that this is the healthiest way to eat. Now, interestingly, on the news, one of the dairy farmers, well, they showed a dairy farmer, they showed a beef farmer, but the dairy farmer in particular said, the Canada Food Guide has it wrong, that dairy is so critical for our health. It's got protein, calcium, and other vitamins and minerals that we need. And, I never really understand dairy. I think once you get that dairy is the breast milk for your offspring, just as I nursed my child, dairy doesn't make much sense anymore. We can get all those nutrients he's talking about, and in a better way, in my opinion, and from what the research says, from plant sources like leafy greens for your calcium, and a whole host of other vegetable and plant-based sources for other minerals and so forth. In any case, let me take you through what globalnews.ca has to say about this. Health experts applaud Canada's new food guide, though some question lack of portion sizes. Do we need to be told portion sizes? But anyway, okay. I think people largely ignored portion sizes. Like, I had this food guide here. I never looked at what it told me. I just ate as I wanted. But anyway, here we go. Health experts have broadly come out in support of Canada's revamped food guide, saying it represents a clear improvement over the 2007 version. I should note that there was a point last year when they were seeking input from the public as to, our eating habits, what we thought, and that kind of thing. And I know some vegan friends of mine were able to have their voices heard. I did not get in on that. I somehow missed the deadline. Anyway, there is a much better way of guiding Canadians. Oh, this is a much better way of guiding Canadians in terms of how best to follow a healthy diet, says Dr. David Lau, professor of medicine and obesity researcher at the University of Calgary. Rather than telling Canadians to eat a specific number of servings from each of the 4 food groups, like the old guide, the new version, which was just released today, January 22nd, says to eat a variety of healthy foods, including fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and protein foods, and among those to choose plant-based proteins like legumes and nuts more often. This is so huge. What's great about this, as you all can attest, is that the naysayers in our lives like to say, oh, we need to have meat, we need animal products. And this now, the food guide based on the research, is saying that we should be actually eating more plant-based proteins. Now, that was one of the other things that one of the beef farmers said in response to the new food guide. She was concerned that this is going to lead to, less sales for beef, and she went on to say that people have to realize that plant protein is just not as good as protein from meat. And it's like, oh, not again. Like, people who are so not educated about what the actual science says. So she's talking about you're not going to get all the amino acids. Well, you can with certain foods, but it's not important to get all the amino acids in one food. It's important to eat a variety of foods, and we will get our full amino acid range that we need in our diet that way. Okay, so the old food guide's emphasis on food servings and portions was confusing, says Dr. David Jenkins, a professor in the Department of Nutritional Sciences and Medicine at the University of Toronto. Let me ask you, what is a serving of a banana? If no one understood what it was saying, he said, how is that a food guide then? Okay, so it just kind of shows you here, this is 1942. That was when the very first Canadian food guide came out. And of course, it says milk is right on there, fruits, vegetables, cereals, and breads, meat, fish, and eggs, at least 3 or 4 eggs weekly. Okay, so totally removing portion sizes from the guide, though it may appear in later documents designed for health professionals, is something that Lau isn't sure about, though. If anything, that's about the only negative comment that people can make about this food guide. They don't talk about portion sizes. A picture of a plate with 1/2 containing fruits and vegetables, 1/4 protein, and 1/4 whole grains is a central feature of the new food guide. Lau worries that some people could just add more fruits and vegetables to their plate without reducing the protein and grain servings, so make a much bigger meal. Well, guess what? If you're adding fruits and vegetables, that's not going to be a problem. Fruits and vegetables are not high calorie foods, and as far as I'm concerned, you can't eat too many fruits and vegetables in a day. Have plenty of them. Don't worry about counting the calories. It's the one thing about eating mostly plant-based. If that's the way most people will go, you're going to find you don't have to count your calories. And when you eat explicitly plant-based, as I do, I don't even think about calories. I don't think about what's on my plate. I eat until I'm full, and sometimes I want to eat more, sometimes I want to eat less. I just eat when I'm hungry. Okay, so a registered dietitian and lactation consultant, Jessica Cole, who participated in the launch of the new food guide, isn't so sure. Because portions are so specific to each person, I think it's not a bad thing to not include them. People eat different amounts based on their size, how often they eat during the day, and how active they are, she said, which is very true. Now, this is the health minister. I'm not going to hit to play the video just in case it gets me into any trouble, but she was just talking, and I was really impressed with, what she had to say, and just in general with this new food guide. Okay, so protein foods. He also thinks that making dairy and red meat simply one of many protein choices is a good move, not least because it makes the food guide's recommendations more applicable to Canada's ethnically diverse population. Don't forget, there are populations where dairy products are not prominent as part of their daily food consumption. Well, if that's the reason, fine, but I'll take it. The point is we do not need dairy. I love the variety of foods that are included in the new food guide from different cultures, Cole said. The arrangement of bright, fresh foods on the example plate has another drawback, though. It's not cheap to eat fresh vegetables and meat all the time. It's more expensive, there's no question. Well, is it really? Is it more expensive than dairy, than cheese? I'm not really so sure about that. I would really argue that fruits and vegetables are not as expensive as cheese, and there are ways to shop for more inexpensive produce, as I do. Always check your discounted produce rack. I got 2 giant grapefruits and 4 oranges a week ago for $1. And they were all in perfect condition. So do look for your discounted rack and see what fruits are there. I got a big thing of mushrooms yesterday for $1.49. Okay, so Food Secure Canada said in a statement that the guidelines are an important first step to addressing poverty and food insecurity in Canada, but further steps, like school food programs and a comprehensive food policy for Canada, would ensure that healthy food is accessible to all. Now, okay, where did this come from? How to survive on a vegan diet. What's interesting, I think I want to play that. What's interesting as well, or what I think the bigger thing is that from this is that this guide is going to be used to help guide schools in terms of what kind of foods they provide, and hospitals, and that's really important. So let me just see. What was the other one? Okay, yeah. So this is the actual oh, you can go see the food guide here at canada.ca/food guide. And it says, this is just telling us the past 4 decades. Health Canada has instructed Canadians that a healthy diet must include specific servings across 4 food groups across that rainbow background, the picture that I showed you before. So there's no more food groups. This is just recapping exactly what I have already looked at. And it does say here drink water. I think they had on the food guide that you could have servings of fruit juices. That's no longer recommended. And I would agree with that because, ultimately fruit juices without the fiber in them contain more sugar, which can be a problem for people in terms of insulin and so forth. Eat fewer processed foods. Okay, that's good. And yeah, that's the other thing. They're encouraging people to cook at home. So it's kind of like some common sense here, but for a lot of people, the big thing is going to be dairy is not recommended at all. And beef and other meat-based proteins are not seen as critical. So what do you guys think about this? Let me know what you think about the new food guide. I want to press play. Let's see what this says here. This is how to survive on a vegan diet. But if it doesn't come up immediately, I think I'll just end this. Okay. All right, guys. So that's all for now. Let me know what do you think. I'm excited about this. And since this is getting long, I'll just end it here. But comment below on your thoughts. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next video.